Frans Blanchard from VEA from Holland. When you watch television 30 hours a week, then when it comes to a year, you come to watch 38,000 commercials. Mm-hmm. How to make a marketing communication stand out in such a crowd?
To make something special, to be creative, have a big idea, and create the idea in a way that it pops out of the cradle that's there, all the commercials, all the things that are going on, because it's not only product commercials, but it's also program commercials, all those leaders in the advertising blogs and so on. So it's not easy, but you can do it.
But is it getting easier or is it getting more difficult? I mean,
it's
today...
getting more difficult. It's getting more difficult for different reasons. Television is still a very important medium to be effective. But other
television,
media,
you say?
Television, yes, television is still...
But is it not losing its power in a way?
Yeah, but everybody is saying so, but it's still very effective. If we look at Effies that we have been dealing the last few years, it's still the most effective medium in the whole media surrounding we are facing today, you know. So yes, television is still very important, and it's very difficult to make something special on television. So that's really a tension there, and it's also it triggers you to really become creative and to make something special. And of course, nowadays we always need not to focus only on television, but you also have the support of the internet and all other kind of media, radio, print, whatever.
Effie is basically measuring efficiency of marketing communication effectiveness and efficiency of marketing communication, and that in turn depends on the consumer's decisions. Mm-hmm. How is the consumer we're talking about, the speculative consumer, changing? How has he or she changed over the last 5 years?
Oh, last 5 years.
Well, I'm saying 5 years because 5 years is the dynamic development of the new media, internet, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand it. But well, what's the consumer and what's the internet? Most important thing nowadays is that we engage the consumer with the product we're trying to make contact between the consumer and the product, or the brand and the consumer. So most important here...
Is that different now than it was 5 years ago?
It's yes, it's different now, because engagement was very difficult with the old media. And within the new media, people are closer to the... and it's not only media, you know, it's also about the things we organize, the festivals, the sponsorships. It's not focusing. In fact, that's the biggest problem we're now facing by dealing with Effies, because advertisers, they are splitting their budget over 3, 5, 6 agencies, and every agency, everybody does its part. And when I'm going for an Effie, you see most of the time that the major agency, the agency that is doing the television commercial, is applying for the Effie. But we say nowadays, well, you can't just apply with the television commercial. If you apply, you have to tell us what's going on with this product or with this advertiser in, well, all media and what's and everything what's around us, because we can't discuss any longer media, because everything is media. The message is the media.
So how are you addressing this issue when you're organizing Effie? For example, in Poland previously there were two possibilities of applying advertising agencies on the one hand or media houses on the other hand. Now it's all united. They call it united Effie. Because it's really, you know, the integration of all services that counts now in campaigns. How do you address that in Holland?
Well, first of all, we demand that they give information about all media being active, or all ways the message has been spread around. So you must tell the parts you know something about. So you know, if you've been doing only television, and you're telling that because and you can get it from the surveys, what kind of media and what the activity has been from the advertiser. And one other important thing we also demand is that the CEO of the agency, but also the CEO of the advertiser, undersign the application for an Effie. So they have to read the case and they have to agree with it that all the information that's coming to them, to the Effie jury, is complete.
So who can apply for an Effie award in Holland?
Every agency or every advertiser
or
combined,
as well?
whoever thinks he has a case, he can apply for it.
When we talk about categories, are these changing over the years? Are you making alterations to the categories? What's happening?
We are just going through a major change in Holland about categories, because we had a lot of categories, but we were not really active on those categories. And now we said, well, if you look at the business, things are changing. So we decided to have only 3 categories. There's one category that's just brand advertising, so based upon sales. There is a category that's based on behavior. And there is a category based on image. You've got the old-fashioned juries, they were just looking at sales. But who's looking at sales today now? If you are in that part of business. But you also want to know, there's also a part of the business that's looking at by intention. And of course you have to realize in the end that by intention. But if you want to, Effie is about long-term communication and not only about short-term sales success. So we are trying in that way to have this short-term sales success, but also the long-term cases that can exist out of different kind of communication, but over the years, and that's building a brand. And we are looking for those social cases because you're not selling there anything else than an opinion, an idea, an attitude, and so on. And so we are really transforming Effie now in the way that these 3 categories are major issues nowadays. We also have 3 different juries, and those 3 different juries come together in a new final jury, and they decide on colors and Effies. Yeah.
Does Effie make a difference on the marketing market in Holland?
For sure. Our business is about nothing else than creativity and effectiveness. So it is a big difference. If you are looking for success, then you're not looking for just a creative success. Creative success and effectiveness go always hand in hand and make a good brand, they make a good success, they make a good result. That's what it's all about. Nobody nowadays, maybe in the 60s or so, you could make an advertisement that was just, or an ad or a commercial that was just about having fun. I remember one of the major creative guys from Holland. He was really creative, and maybe he was more an artist than an advertisement. And then somewhere in the end 80s, beginning of the 90s, he went to the States. And when he came back, he told me, he said, well, now, at the moment I came there, I thought it's wonderful to be creative, but creativity without a result is nothing. But nowadays, it's not only about being effective, because you only can be effective when you are really creative. Because there is so much, we started our talk with that, there is so much impulses from outside that are asking for our attention.
In growing quantities.
So if you want to be successful, you have to do something special, you have to be creative, and you have to find and develop all the new ways that are around us nowadays. And that's the good thing. There is so much new, open, other ways. It's difficult. And you need entrepreneurs for that, because people do need to have guts and to say, well, I'll go for it. And sometimes you will fall down and will not be successful. But that's the only way to find a success, because otherwise you will always be stuck in the middle.
Frans Blanchard, thank you very much indeed.
Okay, glad to do. Thank you.
you.